just gave me so much more confidence and just being okay with me that I didn't have to fix it. It's just how I was. Like, I think I thought everyone was supposed to be one way. I was kind of raised like that. So to know that I could be my way and that it's okay and that it's actually pretty good, like, was a huge deal. So that's how I found out about it.
Yes, I love that. It makes such a huge difference to know that you're not broken or you're not messed up, because I think a lot of people have that same opinion that everybody's just supposed to be the same way. And if you're not extroverted and, you know, you don't like chit chat and you don't like going out with your friends all of the time, then there's something wrong with you that you need to fix. And I don't know how many people have told me that. And that's one of the reasons that I was so obsessed with it too. I've only known that I'm INFJ for a couple of years. And once I figured all of that out, then it was like, yeah, that's so awesome. It's like the permission that you need to really own all of these things and be like, nope, not broken. I'm not extroverted. I don't need to be extroverted. It's totally fine.
Hi there, this is Sarah Kuhn. If you are an INFJ or in a relationship with an INFJ or related to an INFJ in any way, and you want to figure out how they operate, what makes them tick, and how to communicate with them better, this is the show for you. It's called The Quiet Ones. This is a show that deconstructs INFJs, what they are, how they think, how they feel, how they operate, and how they relate to people with other personality types. Whether you have just found out that you're an INFJ or have known for a number of years, there is something for everyone. You will learn more about your personality type so that you understand who you are and understand how you operate in the workplace, in relationships, in your family, and with friends. I want you to walk away from every episode feeling like you have a place of belonging, feeling like you are no longer alone, feeling like you have a place to be heard and seen and understood as you really are. This is a place to connect with other INFJs, to learn and grow and really thrive. I want to give you inspiration and real life strategies that are going to help you figure out how to live your best life every single day. Though INFJs are very rare, you are not alone in this world. You are not the only one who thinks the way that you do and feels the way that you do. Hear from real INFJs just like you. Hi there, Sarah Kuhn here. Welcome to another episode of The Quiet Ones. We have a great interview today with a good friend of mine named Cayci Ellis. Cayci is a business coach and she's here to talk purpose and business. But before we get to that, I want to tell you a little bit about my community. Have you ever thought to yourself, how do I find people who really understand me? How do I find connection and learn about myself in the process? My name is Sarah Kuhn and I write a blog called INFJ Woman, and I host a podcast called The Quiet Ones. Both of these platforms are dedicated to helping INFJs realize that you are not alone in this world. There are so many people out there just like you who have the same struggles that you do. I built a whole community to connect INFJs together so that we can come together and get that understanding that we long for. My community is called INFJ Community. It's designed to help you go from feeling alone and misunderstood to feeling connected and appreciated. How do you meet other INFJs? How do you find people who relate to you right from the start? How do you know that you get validation and acceptance when you don't get it from your friends? How do you make new friends? I've created this community so that all of this is possible and likely in one place. If you are an INFJ who wants to make friends with other INFJs, but feels lost and confused about where to find them, but you want to connect and learn and grow, this community is going to be such an answered prayer. Not only are you going to connect with other like-minded people, but you will also learn so much about yourself in the process. This community includes exclusive courses designed to help you grow as an INFJ and give you real solutions to everyday struggles. It also includes coaching sessions twice a month where we dive deep into INFJ issues to help you break free from all of your fears and doubts. You also get access to exclusive content and discounts for upcoming courses and coaching. There are two different paths that you can take. You can go through life alone, searching everywhere you can for answers and feeling lost and alone. Or you can take the better path. You can join this community of like-minded people who can support you in your journey, help you find direction, and understand you right from the start. Right now, there are INFJs in the community ready and waiting to connect with you. They've found that connection and understanding that you're looking for. It's up to you to make the decision to join them. You can connect with other INFJs and be a source of help and value to them while they're doing the same thing for you. Join me in INFJ community, where we'll go from lost and confused about who you are and why you were put on this earth, to knowing that you belong and having people understand you right from the start. You can find all of the information at infjcommunity.com. But don't wait. Doors to the community close Friday, May 29th, and may not open again this year. This is a limited time offer, so you need to act quickly. Come and join us today. We can't wait to see you there. Make sure you head over to infjcommunity.com where you can learn more. There's a link for it in the show notes. All right, so like I said before, our guest today is Cayci Ellis. Cayci is a business coach and consultant who specializes in customer engagement and income strategy. Cayci can make your customers like you while helping you bring in more money, which is what we all need, right? I had a great conversation with Cayci about being an INFJ, finding your purpose, and starting your own business. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you know that you can get the show notes along with all the links to everything we're talking about by going to thequietonespodcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out my book, The INFJ User Guide. This book will help you to understand what it means to be an INFJ and to see the impact that it makes in your life, as well as discover how life-changing this knowledge can be. Also, you can watch the video interview at youtube.com/thequietonespodcast. Okay, so tell me, how did you find out your personality type?
So it hasn't been very, well, it's been a little bit ago. I know there are some people that have known forever. I did not. I don't really think I knew about the MBTI till I was probably like 30. But I was in a group that I was getting coaching from, and somebody said something, and the coach said, haha, that's why I'm a whatever. And I was like, oh, I should probably look into that. And I remember exactly where I was. We were on a little vacation, and I was sitting out on the porch of this beautiful place on a lake. And I'm like, I'm going to look at that. And I took the test, and it really didn't take very long. And it came back INFJ, and I was like, what's that? What's the advocate? Let's look at it. And I read it, and my first reaction was like, oh my God, like nothing has made more sense to me in my life. And I was so grateful, and I was so happy. And my second reaction was like, crap, nobody else is this way. Like that, that feeling of wanting to be understood and to not fit in, but belong, I had wanted so bad. And knowing that hardly anybody else out there is like that, I just knew I was never going to get it. But knowing though that something made sense and I wasn't wrong, how I felt wasn't wrong, what I thought wasn't wrong, because I was so different from everybody. Even just knowing that made all the difference in my life. And then I just studied and studied and studied. I told you earlier, I didn't study any other type, like just my type. I went all out with it to understand it. And it just gave me so much more confidence in just being okay with me that I didn't have to fix it. It's just how I was. Like, I think I thought everyone was supposed to be one way. I was kind of raised like that. So to know that I could be my way and that it's okay and that it's actually pretty good, like, was a huge deal. So that's how I found out about it.
Yes, I love that. It makes such a huge difference to know that you're not broken or you're not messed up, because I think a lot of people have that same opinion that everybody's just supposed to be the same way. And if you're not extroverted and, you don't like chit chat and you don't like going out with your friends all of the time, then there's something wrong with you that you need to fix. And I don't know how many people have told me that. And that's one of the reasons that I was so obsessed with it too. I've only known that I'm INFJ for a couple of years. And once I figured all of that out, then it was like, yeah, that's so awesome. It's like the permission that you need to really own all of these things and be like, nope, not broken. I'm not extroverted. I don't need to be extroverted. It's totally fine.
And I kind of grew up in a family of introverts, so I guess I would have assumed I would have been more relatable, but it still wasn't. Like they still did things so differently, which now I'm looking at like that's cool, but the fact that I didn't was what was so different. So it even just wasn't you should be an extrovert, even though I felt that in business all the time. Yeah, even just being around a lot of introverts, it's still really, really different. Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk to you because you're a business coach, and there's so many of us who are lost when it comes to our career and our business. And being an INFJ too, you are super relatable for all of us. So tell me how you got to be a business coach.
So the things that you just explained that so many of us didn't know where to go. I felt that for a long time in my career too. So I first started out studying business management, and it couldn't have been any more off from what I really was. So then I started studying leadership, which completely made a difference for me. And I realized that my focus was so much more on people. And that's really where I wanted to go. So I tried to do all the typical jobs that you're supposed to do out of college. None of it made sense. And it was so frustrating because I knew what I really wanted to do. And I just thought I needed to find a place to do it. And I needed to find someone great that I could work for, that I, really respected and appreciated. And it just never happened. And with INFJs, our values are like up here, our integrity. And I just was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to find that in somebody. And I can't just go my whole life wishing that this perfect job is going to pop up. And I've always kind of had an entrepreneur spirit. So I just thought, well, what if I can just kind of do my own thing? And I just tiptoed through it first, just doing little things, seeing, like I started an Etsy shop to see if I could just do it on my own. I ran an Airbnb, and I just slowly kind of tiptoed into actually doing what I wanted to do. And it was really a little bit of fear. I didn't really trust myself that I could do what I wanted to do and be good at it, because no one else out there was like me. Everyone was just like pushing and wild and blah.
Right.
And that didn't work. So I finally just decided to kind of create my own plan and just see if there was anybody else out there that wanted it. Not very confident, not just like, like barely seeing if it would work. And it did. And I just noticed, and especially learning I was INFJ, that helped a lot. That really made me understand there's people out there like me that think like me, that want to do things that I want to do. And since I'm a couple steps ahead, I can help them to do that. And it started from that. And thankfully with social media, we can all communicate and we can find other people like us. And once I started to do that, then I really started to see what people needed, and I just took off with it.
That's awesome. I love social media, and the internet has made such a big difference for us. We don't have to be seen in public. We can still connect with people without going out to a bar or to a museum or wherever it is, that you meet people. You can connect with them while you're sitting at home in your pajamas watching Netflix.
Yep. And you can meet people that are like you.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. Like, I can finally meet other people that maybe think the way that I do and not freak them out. That'd be great.
It's a game changer. It really
for
is,
sure.
Especially when you jump on a video call and you connect with somebody right away, and that they understand and everything that they're saying to you makes sense. It makes such a huge difference.
Oh, it's so rare. So when you get it, you're just like a little kid, like looking at a present, like, oh, I want to love you to death.
Yeah, it's amazing. Honestly.
Yeah, it is for sure.
And so when you talk about business, especially a lot of INFJs have a big interest in starting their own business. But I think a lot of us are concerned because we're introverts. Can we even be good in business?
Yeah. I mean, if I just could short answer, yes. Let me tell you why. So we are deep feelers, and we care so much about authentic connection. That's like our thing. So, and that's exactly what people need in businesses. They need people that actually care, that are on their side when we're dealing like with customers and clients. So, and INFJs, we're so sharp and smart, and this selflessness and devotion that we have is inspiring and it's loving. And these are the kind of people that we need in business. Like, we need people helping other people. So, and also we're kind of led to believe that we have to be extroverted, right? We kind of talked about that. And you have to be outgoing, you have to be a go-getter or a cheerleader type to do well in business. And there's nothing wrong with those types, but we're taught in business that you got to just go get it all the time, right?
Right.
But that's not at all true. And it's really a myth that's made up. And I think it's because people don't understand introverts. So they kind of feared them, or they avoided hiring them. So they always just said, we need the extrovert type, the go-getter, the self-starters. It's just because they didn't really understand why or how they're so valuable. So it's not so much your personality type or your style that's important, it's your intention. And that's what's good for business. So along with your intention, you have to want to help the people that you're serving. By providing a service or making something, you have to just want to help them and solve their problem. You have to want that for them. That's really the only basis of business. So now, and I'll also answer this with the assumption that that question is more about all of the work needed to run a business, not just if an introvert's good for one.
Right.
If there's something you can't do, or you don't want to do, or you don't like doing it, or maybe it takes too much energy too fast, because that's an issue for us, hire it out. Like, you don't have to be Superwoman or Superman. You don't have to do everything. We're taught that it's so noble to do everything. It's not. It's scary. It's not good for us. So provide other people the opportunity to do some work for you is what I like to tell people. But we're problem solvers, so we're going to figure it out, and we're great at helping people. So business, we need introverts and we need INFJs for sure.
Yeah. One of the descriptions of INFJs, well, a lot of the descriptions say that INFJs like helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that I did not resonate with at all, because I'm like, I don't even like people. I don't want to be around people. Yeah. So when I started my business, I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I do this like without having to talk to people? Because I'm one of those people who orders Starbucks from my phone, so that I don't have to go in there and talk to anybody. I order Panera through their app as well, so that I don't have to go order something, because that's too much pressure. And then there's people, and it's like, no, I'll just skip the line and go pick up my food and go eat in my car, honestly.
Like, who listening doesn't do that? I'm wondering, like, now, who actually doesn't do that? Well, yeah, that makes sense. And that's also a good point. Look at how businesses are starting to serve introverts now. Like, they're starting to do that. Have you seen those things? I don't know if it's on YouTube or something, those like Chinese restaurants where you place your order and you sit down and they open like a little slot and just slide your food out to you and like, shut it. Yes. Like, what other better place would there be? Yeah. Well, and I get that a lot. People say that a lot. Like, I really don't like people, so what do I do? Is this even meant for me? And I'll tell you, some business coaches, probably a lot of business coaches, would say, well, you don't have to like anybody to sell them something, right? Like, you don't have to make friends in order to make money. But to me, like, that feels so fake and so icky to me. No, thank you. So in order to feel that fulfillment and to be engaged with your work, you need to have a positive connection to the people that you're serving. You have to do that. So with us INFJs, we're intelligent, we're perceptive. So a natural gift that we have is connecting quickly to people. It's actually one of the gifts that we have, and it's very intense. And people crave being listened to and being heard and understood, especially when they have a problem that they're trying to get fixed, right? So it really should be the basis of every company that serves people. It should be that. So now it's not only so much that we don't like people, the issue is we don't like the fakeness that comes with interacting with people, because we want connection.
Exactly.
We want that real and true connection.
Yeah.
So it's those surface level interactions that take way too much energy way too quickly from us. Because the issue isn't energy being used, it's how quickly is it used and how can we get that energy back. That's what's so exhausting. So again, it's not the people, it's the quality of the interaction that we are particular about. So these quality interactions, they are full of meaning and they're full of depth, which we love, especially if we're on a topic that we really like too, or that we're really interested in. We love that kind of talk and we love that kind of work. So when the purpose of the interaction is more definite, your attitude changes around people. So I kind of have some examples I'll share, because I really want you to challenge yourself to redefine what your purpose is when you're around other people. And this can be customers, clients, coworkers, family, whatever. I'll walk you through it. So first of all, what's your purpose with them? Instead of, let's just get it over with, we'll just talk about the weather, Karen, you know, instead of that, change your purpose to maybe like helping them feel better, or maybe helping them relax, get back to normal, maybe feel inspired, help them to just feel comfortable about the day, or just let them know that you're thinking about them. Like, you got to pick what your purpose is. So with like my clients, my purpose is about helping them to know and to feel closer to their purpose and working in alignment with that and who they are. So when you define what your purpose is with your people, the purpose of your work and the communication, you're working in alignment with all of that. And your attitude more easily follows in a positive way, to where you might even look forward to interacting with people. So one thing I asked too is like, think about someone you actually like talking to about a topic. Like, I love talking to Sarah about like the self-love and the codependency. I love doing that. So think about someone like that, or someone like you would call or you would visit if you had a question about something that they know a lot about. Again, it's not that you would avoid talking to them. You don't. You want to talk to them. You want to call them and not text them. It's not the people. It's the quality of the interaction. That's really what we care so much about.
Yes. Yes, for sure. For sure. I loved what you said too about people want to be seen and heard.
Yes.
I don't know how I knew this, like way back in the day. When I was in high school, I worked at Walmart, and I think everybody should work at Walmart at some point because it is a whole experience,
Right.
especially at Christmas time. But you learn a lot about yourself and about other people. And one of the reasons that so many people hate Walmart is because they feel like nobody cares about them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go in there as a customer, you just assume that nobody cares about you. And so when customers would come in, they would treat me that way. Like, as a cashier, they would just treat me like you don't care about me.
Yeah.
And one of them was yelling at me one day about a cake that she had ordered for her son for his birthday, and how it was going to be the third time that she would have to come back today. And, you know, she was just so mad about it, and it still wasn't done. And I was like, I'm really sorry that happened to you. And she kind of stops and looks at me like, what? Did you just say that?
Human emotion? What?
I'm like, you know, were you able to speak to a manager? Could they not help you? And she said, nobody even offered to get a manager. And I was like, well, if you have a minute, I would like to call one for you, if that's okay. You know, if you want to wait, because it'll probably take them a couple of minutes to come over here. And she's like, no, I really would like to speak to somebody. And I'm like, okay, I'll call them. You know, if you just wait over here, I'll call them. And so she spoke to the manager, and she came back over to me because she was, you know, a ways away. And she comes back over and she's like, I really appreciate you doing that. And I'm like, oh, you know, that's good. I'm glad. I'm like, were they able to help you? And she goes, well, they couldn't do anything, that the cake's not done, but they did give me, you know, like 50% off of it, which I appreciate. And I'm like, well, that's good. I'm glad. Mm-hmm. And I always use that experience when in interviews and things, because people don't necessarily want you to solve their problems. They want to feel seen and heard. And in that situation, she knew I couldn't solve her problem. I couldn't make her a cake and have it done right there. But she just wanted me to listen to her, and she wanted to know that I cared about her. And in so many situations, you just don't have that. You know, people are just concerned about what they're doing, and and especially with social media, which I love social media, and I think that it can be what you make it, mm-hmm. but you're missing a lot of that connection, because a lot of it is, here, let me show you what I'm doing. Let me put myself out there. Let me talk to you about what's going on in my life. And there isn't a lot of, I really care about you. I want to know what's going on in your life. what's really making you happy today? What's really making you sad? Nobody talks about self-love on Facebook, you know? Nobody talks about their problems because they don't want to admit that they have them. But then that also, it takes away from that connection, like what you were talking about, that because you're not talking about those deep things, and that's really what we want.
Well, and when you bring up like on social media, everyone's focus is themselves, and that's just fuel to the fire that we don't want to connect with anybody, because subconsciously we're seeing that they don't care about me at all. So I don't care about them. I don't like people. When really think about if social media was a place where everyone was just like, how are you? Like, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing today. Would you do this? Or what do you think about that? Like, how does that make you feel? We would be more addicted to it than we probably are now. So yeah, you're so right. It has taken away with that, but it's also a choice. Like, we decide what to share, and we're sharing everything about ourselves because we want someone to care. That's what it is. We want someone to care about us. So everything is about us all the time. So it's so much of it is hypocritical when you look at it like that. But yeah, social media it has wonderful things, awful things. But we were talking about customer service. I go to companies and I teach customer engagement. And that's one thing that I always have to share with them is that, well, I shouldn't say probably always, they don't always go there, but being negative, like, you know, letting the customer be mad and, you know, letting them complain about stuff, that's totally cool. But no one really wants you to sit in it. And with us, especially as INFJs, I know whenever I go there, it's fine to do that, but then you have to like bring everybody out of it. You got to like get them inspired and get them joyful. We don't have to get inspired and joyful. We're cool with the dark and twisty 24/7. Nobody else is. Like, you got to bring them up eventually.
Right. Right. Otherwise they get too scared.
Right. And be like,
are you okay? Like, do we need to put you on watch? Do I need to stay with you tonight? Like, are you really okay?
Get away.
Yes. So let's get back to business a little bit.
Okay.
So I know one of the biggest issues that I had was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because I felt like I had this big purpose and I had no idea what to do. And then I decided that I wanted to start my own business. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of business I want. So how do you decide? How do you narrow it down?
Well, the first thing that I like to say, first of all, is that, especially with us, with INFJs, there's probably some other people that do it too. It doesn't have to be black and white one thing. Like, it's not a static thing of what we're doing. Depending on our age, our maturity, our education, the information we get, where we are in our life, what we want to do when we're 20 could be very different than what it is when we're 40. So let yourself be open to a lot of possibilities, and don't feel like you're blocked in on anything. Like, for me, if someone says, what do you want to, you know, where do you want to be in 10 years? Like, that gives me anxiety. Like, I don't want to set that goal. Like, I want to be free to do my thing. Right. So that's the first thing, is just be open to that. It doesn't have to be one thing. And I think that can kind of take the pressure off of thinking there's one thing that I have to do. But anyway, the biggest thing, of course, is knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what you like, but most importantly, why do you like it? Why do you like these things? How do they make you feel? And those are the questions that you need to ask yourself, or find someone else to ask them of you, because sometimes that can be easier. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask about yourself anyway, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're asking questions that you think you should ask instead of questions that are really specific to you or very vulnerable or intimate to you too. Because you don't know, and you may not even know the answers that you asked. That's fine. I didn't always know the answers whenever I asked them either. Sometimes I still have a hard time. But I knew what others wanted me to say when we would talk about my purpose or my business or my life. But I really never knew what I wanted unless I was really honest with myself. So do that, or do that with someone that you trust, and just have them ask you a million questions, and have them ask you why a million times, because you will always get closer and closer and closer to the root of really what it is you want to do or why you want to do it. The honesty is so much, that's what's so much important, is the honesty, because there is nothing worse than climbing a ladder that you didn't even want to be on in the first place. And most of us have probably already done that.
Yep.
So for me, it's very important that the people that I work with know their purpose. And your purpose doesn't necessarily change much how you do your purchase to a business info. But it's not so much your purpose that changes, it's how you do it. Because you can do your purpose in a lot of different ways. But just being in alignment with that and finding a business that works how you want it to work, because business does not all work in one way. So sometimes it's clear how that is. Sometimes it's trial and error. Probably most of the times it's trial and error until we really learn how we work best. We really need to know ourselves. Tons of people are out there telling you how to run your business too, and they're making bank on it, right? And you can make a lot of money doing that. Their success rates for people aren't really that great though. And why? Because everybody is different and you can run a business 1,000 different ways. If it's not really in accordance though with how you work, which is what I talk about so much, if it's not how you work or what's important to you, it's not going to work. At least it won't work for long. That's the thing. And also, and this was really important for me, of course, that not being set in stone is what you're meant to do. I think everyone says that we have to know what we're meant to do, but it doesn't have to be that definite. You can just kind of have an idea. Because like I said, that phrase causes me like anxiety. Like I don't want anything in my life to be that set in stone other than my values and my integrity. But I need to have the freedom to explore and create and pivot if I need to. That's a friend's quote. So yeah, thanks,
That's
Beth.
the best friend's quote.
Yeah. So what you want now, what you want in 10 years, that can be completely different. That can change. That's perfectly okay. But we haven't really been conditioned to be creative and to think outside that box or to change things on a whim. Like people freak out when you do that. They think it's unstable and scary. While some of us think being able to change and be free that's living, like that's a necessity for what we need. But really, starting is the only way to get closer to where you want to go or where you want to be. Even if the endpoint does move a little, you're still working towards it. And one would argue that the working towards it is really the whole point of it all anyways. But you can always change, reevaluate, redefine your work. And I encourage that too. So that's how you really know that you're working in alignment with your purpose, is because you can prove it time and time again by asking those questions. But it is not one simple answer, and it shouldn't be one simple answer. We're not simple people, and your business is an extension of your heart, really. So it's not easy, but it's definitely something that you can do. You can figure that out.
Anytime you're talking about starting a business, even if you don't know what it is, or if you do know what it is, in this day and age, it requires you to put yourself out there, to be on social media. And as somebody who's worked in marketing for more than 10 years, I can tell you, the first thing that I tell people is you need to humanize your brand, which means you need to put your face on it.
Yes.
And don't go looking at my social media and judge me because my face is not on it. I don't take my own advice. Because one of the biggest problems that I have as an INFJ that I've talked to a lot of other people about is we're afraid to be seen. We don't want to put our face out there. Mm-hmm. How do you get past that fear?
Typically what this is a fear of failure. That's typically what it is. It's that it rears its head in our life like that. So I'm going to challenge you here to respond to that question by asking yourself, so what if you're scared? Right? Now, I'm not saying that to not validate that fear, because I know that that's what you feel. I still feel it, even doing the work that I've done. But when you need to do something, that's really what the goal is. I need to get this thing done. So what does it really matter how you feel about getting it done? And INFJs, we live in our feelings, right? It took me, I'm still trying to not let my feelings be me, right? It's just what I'm feeling. So you may feel afraid, but you're not afraid. Like it's not who you are. It's just how you feel at that moment. So it honestly, and I'm trying to say this in the best way, it doesn't really matter if you're happy or scared or afraid or anxious or whatever. Like, what matters is that you're doing what you're meant to do. Great things are done often when people are freaked out or when they're angry, when they're sad or they're full of rage. Not everything has to be comfortable. And I could easily say not everything should be comfortable, really. But it definitely not in terms of starting does it have to be comfortable. So I'm sure you've heard the phrase, if you follow like a lot of healing or mental health awareness, you heard that phrase, healing is messy, right? And it is. Like, sometimes you have to pull yourself out of situations that are dangerous or toxic or sad or harmful. And even though it's those bad things, you're like kicking and screaming, like you don't want to get out of it, but you have to.
Right.
So not everything has to be comfortable. Nothing has to be pretty. And you don't even have to really be ready to do great things. It's a feeling. It's not you. And it's not more important than doing really what you need to do and what's important to you in the first place. So I like to give this example. When I was in my youth, I was a competitive athlete, and I was always thrown in front of these big crowds, and I had to perform, and I had to be judged, of course. So I was always freaked out, like anxious, on the verge of crying. Sometimes I did. But it really helped me to do better in front of people and speaking and being on video and just being around people anyway. So if I hadn't have done that, or if my parents let me choose to just hide all the time like I wanted to, I would probably have some severe social anxiety rather than just kind of the minor stuff I deal with. Or
that's my problem. My parents let me just hide all the time.
Yes. And I get it. And it has to be painful for parents to watch their kids be so scared and be so anxious. Like, I get it. And I am glad that my parents made me do that. But you know that I speak on like intention and purpose, by now you do. So I would challenge you to set your intention really straight. What do you intend to do for these people that you need to talk to, that you need to get in front of? What is your purpose with them? How would that help them? What it is that you're going to do? Why do they even need the help? Get to the root of why you're doing what you're doing. And that's going to help you focus more on serving them than on being judged or scared or anxious. And also, we relate to people that are real and not people that are perfect. So you are real. So show up as you are and who you are. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be calm or even ready to really do what it is you need to do. And like Sarah said, she said it in a great way, humanize. I actually wrote down the word because I'm going to steal it. You have to humanize what it is you're doing. People want to see the person. They don't care if anything else is perfect or great. They want to see you and they want to feel you. That's really what it is. So I challenge you to kind of look past that you don't want to be seen, and just focus on why you're really doing what you're doing.
One of the biggest things that helped me to get past some of it, I can't say I've gotten past all of it, but it's a big thing for me to be on video because I hate video and I hate pictures of myself. But something that you said was one of the biggest things that helped me. So what if somebody says something? Because I was terrified of judgment, and I'm still terrified of it. I'm terrified that I'm going to post a picture of myself and somebody's going to say, oh my God, you look like that? Like, really? Why would you post a picture like that? And people are mean. I've seen that kind of stuff on social media before, and I was terrified it was going to happen. And every time it doesn't happen, I'm kind of surprised, honestly. But I thought to myself, like, so what? So what if somebody says that? You can delete their comment. You can block them. It doesn't have to live there forever. And you don't need that kind of negativity in my life. So if you do post a nasty comment on one of my pictures and I see it, it's getting deleted and you're getting blocked. So if you got blocked from my Instagram, you know why.
Well, and even taking that a step further, it's not, it is of course, so what, but even taking a step further, what could you live for 10 more minutes knowing that someone said something negative about you? Most of us would be like, yeah, I can live for 10 minutes, sure. Yeah. Well, could you live for like 10 hours? Like, would you still be able to like get on with your life and go to work or feed the kids? Can you do that in 10 hours? Yeah, probably. Could you do it in 10 days? Yes. No, 10 years go by. Have you still lived a life? Do you still love your family? Do you still love yourself? Whatever. Yeah, like if you kind of break it down like that, a little bit of the fear goes away. But let's not act like we don't have any or that it'll completely go away. It will not. We will
Right.
always still be a little freaked out. That's okay.
You still have to sit there and go, okay, so what? So I'm not going to die. I'm probably not going to die. I might feel like, it's hard to breathe for a while. And I might have to sit there and look at, if anybody does comment on it. And I might check a couple of times in the next couple of days. But I'm probably not going to die.
Yeah. So, and I like what you said. Delete it, block it, whatever. Move on.
Yeah, for sure. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. And the more that you do it, the more you put yourself out there, the more consistently you're doing it, the easier it gets. And it's never easy. Let's just be clear about that. It's never easy, but it does get easier. Somebody wrote me an email not too long ago, and she's like, I've made this commitment to do one YouTube video a month, and I want some advice about it. And I was like, first of all, you need to not do one video a month. You need to do one a day until you get comfortable doing it. And she's like, I can't do that. That's way too much. And I'm like, well, if you commit to doing one a month, you're going to talk yourself out of it every single time. I have been there. I started a YouTube channel like 6 months ago, and I was going to do one a week. And I talked myself out of it every single time, because when you're doing it consistently, you get in that habit of, okay, this is scary. I don't like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And especially when you have somebody else, I still sit in front of the computer every time I have a podcast interview to do. And I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? Why did I schedule this? I don't want to talk. I mean, I don't even know you, but I don't want to talk. And it has nothing to do with you. It's all about me. But then it's like, nope. I told them I was going to do it. I'm here. I'm going to do it because I know it's going to be really good once I just get over that fear of doing it. And I know I'm going to be thankful for doing it. And it's just like getting past that initial fear that I don't know if it's ever going to go away for me, but when I'm doing it more consistently, it's a lot easier than if it's been a month.
Yeah. And like you set your intention and your purpose. I know it's going to help a lot of people. And it's going to be good, so I'm going to do it. But what you said before, you normalized it. Like, no, you need to do a video every day to where it becomes something that's more normal to you. So it's not just a freaking shock to your system all the time.
Right? Yes. So we're talking about social media and putting yourself out there. And when you think about starting a business, me especially, I thought, okay, if I'm going to start a business, I need a really nice website, and I need to be on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And I even kind of thought about Snapchat, though thank God I decided not to go there. And I realized it was a lot of work. So do you really need all of that? Do you need this expensive website and to be on every single platform?
Absolutely not. No. You can have one page on a website, one page and a PayPal link, and you are good to go. Like, it can be that simple. You could be on one platform and do fine. There's still tons of people out there that aren't even on social media that have successful businesses. So what I like to do is think of a product or service that you buy online. Do you buy from them because you just randomly found their website and were like, oh my God, this site's so pretty, like I'm gonna buy everything here? Most likely no. Like, you're there because you're already engaged with the service or the people, and you already know like what they're selling. So you just need a clear, easy to follow website and a place where people can make a safe purchase. Like, it really is that simple. Because again, when we're focusing on perfection, that's just some imposter syndrome speaking. That's what that is. And again, I'm just as susceptible to it as anybody else. So I'm not speaking from not experiencing this. So I will spend, and I've done it, I would spend like the entire day on my website making it like perfect. But really, that's just kind of an excuse for me to avoid facing something else. Fear that maybe my content's not good enough, or anxiety about speaking about a topic because maybe I don't know everything on it, or maybe something's going to be controversial, or there's going to be judgment or opinions. That's really what I'm doing when I'm focusing on being perfect. It's avoidance of something. So you really need to question yourself as to why you have to be perfect. better yet, question yourself, who told you you had to be perfect? And the same goes for 50,000 followers on Instagram. Let me tell you something about high numbers of followers. It really doesn't matter. The real question is, are those people engaged? That's what it's about. So are they commenting? Are they reposting? Are they sharing? Are they clicking on websites, etc.? That's the real information that's determining if they're making bank or not. And even then, that doesn't even mean they're making money. It's just one step of the process. So the goal is connection. That's what it's about. Are you connected to the people that are following you? Are you serving them in some way? Are you giving them a clear place to go to pay you? Are you answering the questions that they have? Do you even know what they really want? Are you giving them what they want? That's really what it's about. It's that connection there, because those are the things that really matter. And you can do that with 10 people, or you can do that with 10,000 people. It just doesn't matter the numbers, but just focusing on serving them, that's what's the most important. But before I end that, I want to respond to the last part of that as like, of it being like a real business, because we don't question ourselves or our purposes here. Okay. You're valid. You're worth it just for being who you are, just for being on the planet. That's what you do matters. Now, if we look at this from more of like a business standpoint, business is making money by offering a product or a service, right? So if you made $1 with your product, you're in business. That's a real business for you. Making a living off your business, of course, it's going to take more, but you don't have to be making a lot of money and having all these followers in order to be a real business. I mean, there's huge businesses that have gone out of business, right? So I challenge you to stop putting labels on everything, because all we know, life isn't black and white. It's gray and it's rainbows. And we know better than most these labels of if it's a real business or not. We reject labels of ourselves, so we shouldn't really be making these labels in our own head. Why should our business be any different than that? And that's the wonderful thing about being an entrepreneur, is your work is that extension of you and not of anyone else. That's why it's so wonderful. But we're constantly trying to find ways to disqualify ourselves because we're scared of something. There's fear there, but it doesn't have to be all this beautiful stuff in order for it to work for you and to be a part of you and to be successful. That stuff just really doesn't matter.
I think a lot of times I get obsessed about that kind of stuff. And I definitely spend whole days working on my website, trying to make it perfect, and buying a new email system so that I can automate everything, because I like playing with that stuff, but I'm also definitely avoiding something.
Yeah, right? That's always what it is. You're
right?
just avoiding something.
But I think we kind of get stuck in that cycle because a lot of us really feel like, what if I'm not enough? What if I don't know enough to share? What if somebody questions me and I don't have the answer? I know that I struggled with that a lot when I wanted to start my blog, because I'm like, I'm not certified in Myers-Briggs. I don't have $2,000 to pay for the training, What if somebody says, well, you don't have enough credentials? And I was kind of a little bit concerned about that. Like the first post I put up on Instagram, somebody would be like, well, who are you to tell me what an INFJ is?
Yeah.
And it's such a big fear in business. What do you feel? What if you feel like, you don't know enough to actually sell something, to actually make money off of it?
Everybody asks me that, and everyone that is in business has thought that. So that is not that's not uncommon at all. It's a wonderful question. I guarantee, for people that are watching, I guarantee that Sarah still probably thinks about this and look at what she's done with the group, right? And she still probably has that feeling sometimes. And I feel it too. And I've done my work over and over and over. So it's not uncommon to feel that. And there's a couple ways to battle it. And the main two is fact and belief. So fact is, if you know one thing on a topic, that's enough to share. One thing. If we get real scientific on this, the real reason why the human species has gotten where we are now is because we share information and we share knowledge with each other, right? In our caveman days, that's how we kept alive. We learned things and then we shared that with each other to stay alive. So it's kind of like in our DNA to share and to receive information. And if you look at it kind of more from a philosophical view, sharing knowledge and information, that inspires vision in others, and it strengthens our ties with people, and it deepens our connections when we share information. So that is like the basis of what INFJs and other introverts do really want, and it's what we need. We want that deepened connection. So from a business standpoint, from as a coach, there's 3 different ways that you can position yourself. The first one is as an expert, and that's like the person that's climbed the mountain and they can tell you how to get there. The second is the guide, and the guide, they are the people that's just a few steps ahead of you, and they're on the journey with you. They're just a couple steps ahead. And the third one is the fellow traveler. These are the people that are just about to climb, and they're taking you with them as they go. So I'm about to climb the mountain. I'm going to blog my journey of the ups and downs for you as I go. So those are like the 3 main positions that I usually work with. You can make a business from any of those positions. So even if you're just the fellow traveler and you haven't actually climbed the mountain, you're just blogging about it, that's a great way to make money. There's affiliate links, there's paid posts, there's ads, there's all sorts of ways to do that. So the guide, that's a very common place for a lot of people to start. You don't have to be making millions of dollars to show someone how to do something. You don't have to do that. You just need to be a few steps ahead of them and be able to show them how to get where you are. And somebody out there, they need to get where you are. You know, you just have to be willing to share that, and they just have to pay you for it. It's pretty much that simple. So the expert, that's kind of the final place, but even then, that's not a static position. And even some of the great people that I follow online or on social media, they're still learning, they're still making mistakes. Like Gary Vee, he talks about making mistakes and failures all the time. And they're still finding new ways to serve their people. They're always learning. So you don't have to be an expert in anything to get started. And again, I know I mentioned it before, but that's really a bit of imposter syndrome speaking there. And I hear it all the time. I feel it still constantly. How, like, you just need to know how to use what you have to make money. So we get so scared of maybe not knowing something, like Sarah said, like, well, you don't have the credential. How do you know about, who are you to talk about INFJs?
Right.
And how we look if we'll say, oh, I don't know, or whatever. Someone will be like, wait a minute, like, I thought you were the expert here, right? Mm-hmm. We freak it, like, that gives us tons of anxiety. Right. But the thing is, no one knows everything. No one ever will. But really, what do you do when that happens? So if someone asks you a question and you have no idea, but you know how to find it, then that's when you say, oh, like, I know exactly where to look for that, or I know the perfect person to ask about that. She knows that topic, like, up, down, all around. I'll get back to you as soon as I hear from her. And Sarah and I had kind of talked about this earlier. People don't necessarily want you to solve their problems. They want to be heard. They want to know that you care. So it's not so much that they need you to get them the information. And it's really not so much that they need it right now. They just need the information. They don't really care where you even get it from. It just shows that you're willing to work for them. You're willing to go outside of the box and help them. Because really, you are a tool for your people. They can use you to get what it is that they need. So you're a resource for them. And a resource has a network. And that network can be books, people, groups, coaches, whatever. So, like, think about Google. It's the most used search engine ever, right? But Google actually knows nothing. Google doesn't know a thing. It's just Google knows how to get you information, right? And that's why it's used all the time. It's a tool, it's a resource. And that's exactly what you're doing for your customer when they ask you something and you don't know. You're just a resource using your network to get them the information. And as long as you know how to get it, it doesn't matter really if you know it or not at that point. You don't have to be an expert. Yes, you need to know your topic, and you need to be a student of your topic. And I'm always listening to people in my industry and reading and researching, but I don't know everything. But the thing is, I don't have to, and you don't even have to. I just want to serve you. I want to help you. I remember my intention is what matters, and the rest, I'll just figure it out for you.
I love that. I love what you said about Google.
Yeah.
Somebody said the same thing about Pinterest the other day. They were complaining about how everybody says, oh, I found that recipe on Pinterest. Oh, I found that purse on Pinterest, or that dress on Pinterest. And they're like, nothing is on Pinterest. You found a link to that recipe on Pinterest. It doesn't live on Pinterest.
I freaking love Pinterest.
Me too. But it's the same thing. Like they don't know anything. They just know where to find it. They're telling you where to find it.
Yes. Just remember that. You do not have to be an expert, and someone will eventually ask you something you don't know. It's totally cool. They won't even care as long as you get it for them somehow. That's really all that matters.
Yes. Yep, for sure. I think one of my biggest fears is people telling me that what I have to offer isn't valuable. Yeah. And that I shouldn't charge for it.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to figure out how to charge for something or how to sell something without feeling really icky about that. How do you do that?
Yeah, I have so much to say on that. I'm going to kind of answer this in two ways. First, kind of as an INFJ, and then second, I'm going to answer it as a businesswoman. So why would someone pay me for this? That's a question that is going to get asked. Am I worth this amount of money, or am I even worth any money? What if they laugh in my face when I tell them what I'm worth? So, like I said,
you can survive that if they do, just so you know.
Yes. So your worth, your value as a human, it's not related to money. We know that. Doesn't always mean we feel it. I get it. You're not better or worse than anyone else either because you're asking for payment. So the you that's in yourself is not connected to a currency. We're taught, though, that we should almost be ashamed for asking for money, or for like asking for like a lot of money. Like doing something for free or for cheap is better, or it's more noble doing that. Now, there are some things that can be done for free, and I'm not against doing some of that. There's nothing wrong with volunteering or helping or being a charity, but you are the one that decides that. No one else decides that for you. And there's nothing wrong with making an income and putting food on the table and keeping the lights on and getting your kids what they need, saving for your future, taking care of your family, getting gas in your sweet ride, whatever it is. And you can't win with people's opinions. You know, that's what the fear is about in that question. What will they think of me? Who do you think you are for asking that? That's what it is for me, is always, who do you think you are? That's my question. And making money, it can be noble. It can be good. It's just how you do it that people freak out about. Because money isn't bad. And even in the Bible, you hear that quote, people say, money is the root of all evil. That's not even the actual verse. It's for the love of money is the root of all evil. And that can go for anything, really, not just money. So money we have to, like Sarah said before, humanize it. We have to normalize it. Money isn't bad. It's an exchange for your goods, for your services. And that's it. You don't let it have any more power than that. If we use lasagna for payment, then we'd be using lasagna. So making a big deal about it makes it a big deal.
If you want to use Starbucks for payment, I take Starbucks too.
Yeah. Let me send you my app, right? And you can just send it to me. So if you feel weird about it, that's fine. You can feel weird. You can still ask for what you're worth. Your feelings don't have to control your actions, remember? And I coach my people to be confident in their price, to be confident in what they have, what they serve, what their product is, and also be excited to offer it to people, because if they choose to do it or not, that's fine. It's not the end of the road. Rejection isn't death, even though we gotta feel it sometimes.
It'll pass. The feeling.
Yeah, right. Like, you'll die a little, you'll be fine. But not everyone will want you, and that's fine. Wish them well, and maybe you'll work with them again in the future. You don't know. So let me answer this now as a businesswoman. So think of something that you love that you can't live without your Starbucks, right? Caramel lattes, strawberry green teas, maybe like the gym or the internet at home, having your Wi-Fi, maybe Tylenol for your headache. These are things you have to have, you can't live without. Do you, like, what about someone to help you, like, with your taxes, or someone to design your website, or a person to answer calls for you while you're working? You know, you need those things and you love those things. You are happy to pay for that. Like, take my money, right? And your services are no different. People need your help. So just let them have it. You know, people, they have a problem. You have the solution. So question yourself, why are you not letting them have it? Not, am I worth it? Why are you not letting them have it? And the reason that they want to pay you for it is because they have a headache and you have the Tylenol. So they have a problem, you have a solution. That's why. And am I worth this amount of money? Apart from doing just basic research on pricing your goods in relation to the market or other opportunities or what you offer, yeah, you are. And it's not really that specific, and it's not static. Like, it can change. But again, your worth isn't created by what you charge. And that's always what we're bringing it back to, is our worth. Because your value, according to the customer, is more influenced by your price. And I think so, you probably have, if you haven't read it, you've probably seen it before. Like, typically the more something costs, the more value that we believe it has. So you cannot undervalue yourself either. Now, marketers, they will tell you, like, people only have a problem with your price if you haven't sold it well enough to them. And maybe so. Like, maybe you need to make sure that the value of what it is you're selling is communicated well enough so they can justify what you're asking. And you can learn to do that. So lastly, what would you do if someone laughs in your face for what you're asking, right? If you ask for what you're worth. And now if someone laughs at you when you name your price, that is not the person that you want to work with. So out of those 1,000 people, the ones that emailed that were complaining, those are not the people that you really want to be serving. That means, just think about it, any change or agreement or a demand that you make when you're working with them will be questioned. It'll be scoffed at. You can't make changes if someone isn't willing to trust you. So get out of it. Like, get out of there. We have got to be,
Right.
we've got to be more particular on who we decide to serve, because our work is not meant for everybody, nor should it be meant for everybody too. Because if your work is meant for everyone, then it's meant for no one, right? So you want to work with people who share similar values with you. If someone is willing to do that to you, laugh in your face, it'll be hell working with them. Like, you do not want to do that. And people have done it to me, mind you, it has happened. And there's a few lessons. By the time I tell them my price, and this is business experience, by the time that I tell them my price, I should already be pretty sure that they're a good client for me, that they need my service, that they're willing to pay for it, and they want to invest in me. So if someone was that shook at my price, then maybe I didn't vet them thoroughly enough before speaking to them. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what would I do if someone like did that to my face? Like, I'd say, well, this doesn't really seem like this is an investment that you want to make, and I respect that. So thanks for your time and good luck. And I am out. There is no reselling. There is no, oh, well, why doesn't that work for you? There is no, wait, I'll pay after I start to leave. No, I don't play games with my work, because I don't play games with my heart. Thank you, Backstreet Boys. And
I love the Backstreet Boys.
Oh my God, I do. But I don't play those games, and my work is my heart. So my integrity, it is too high to be treated like trash, especially over something that honestly is as petty as money is. This isn't the movies. Like, I'm not desperate for you. I'm not desperate for your money. Like, no, sir. And every dollar has a cost in some way, right? Like, what does it take to earn that dollar?
Right.
So no, thank you. We're not a match. Respectfully, take care.
So when we talk about business, one of the biggest things that comes up that I'm also learning the hard way is time management. Like,
Right.
How do you have time for all of these things? Even if you only have 1 or 2 social media platforms, and you have a website and you have something that you're offering, you're probably not going to be in a position where you can be full-time in your business right away. You're going to have a full-time job and do this business. And if you have a husband, if you have a husband and a family, I'm sure it's a whole lot worse than, in my situation, I don't have that. So I just work all day and then come home and work all night, which is also not good to do. How do you balance the time?
That's so an INFJ thing. Like, we love our work, so we go wild with it, right? Especially if you're helping people, like, we validate, just throwing everything into it. People need our help, so we're just going to go wild with it. Yeah, I get that. With the people that I coach, I always speak on energy and how to strategize that. And it's great to have goals and, of course, to do the things that we love and that we're engaged in, because that's really important. That's important really to everyone, I think, but to us especially. Like, we need to do that. We really need to feel our work and the purpose, and we need to live it. So when I was working full time and I had side hustles, I got help. And I don't have to do everything. We're just taught that that's the noble thing to do, to be superwoman and to do it all. But I probably shouldn't be that sarcastic when I say that, but that's how I feel.
No, it's true. And for me, I want to be that person too.
Yeah, like we're taught that's right.
It's really hard for me to ask for help, or now that I'm at a point where I need help, it's hard for me to let somebody help me. It's like, no, you're not doing it right. Like, this is my heart and soul. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to do it as well as I can do it.
Yeah. And the thing about it, that's probably true. I mean, no one, like, your work is your baby. No one can love your baby like you love your baby. So we have to let a little bit of that go, of course, but it's not your fault that you feel that way, that it's not easy to ask for help. I mean, that's been programmed in us for a long, long time. So I get that. But the thing about it is, it's not that it's so noble, it's dangerous, really. And it's another reason to not do something. It's another reason to focus on your perfect website instead of doing some of these other things.
Right.
So, and it also, it empties us. And who pays for it when you're empty? Your family and you, right? So it's just not worth trying to do everything on your own all the time. So if there's something that you can hire out, do it and have people help you. There's so many people that are available to work that are affordable, and they can do it better than you can anyway. So let them help you. Get some people to write some content on your topic like Sarah did. Talk to your local college. See if there's some marketing students that are willing to work on your website. Get help, ask for help, and be prepared to offer something in return, of course. I'm not promoting just asking for everything for free. But also, when we talk about kids, the time with them needs to be quality. It's not just quantity of time. So this, again, is part of the do it all and be with my kids all the time. Again, stop it. Your kids.
I've been around kids. Nobody wants to be around them all the time.
They don't need you 24/7. And so maybe like just a few hours a week, hire a nanny. Like, let them go to the park and run hot laps around there for an hour. Like, while you're getting your work done. They like doing stuff without you too. So just let them. And for the quality part, when they get home, talk to them about what you did and what did you like? Why did you like it? Would you do it again? Why or why not? Like, that's the quality. That's the engaging part with kids. And that's really what matters with them. But the most thing that I say, and I read a lot about it, is getting intentional with your time. So like for work, you have a goal for the day or you have a goal for the week. So when you sit down to work, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, you know how you're doing it. No time is wasted. Like, there's no question when you sit down what you're sitting down for. And when you need to daydream or brainstorm, what I do all the time, do that during other times. Like when you're sitting in traffic, instead of screaming at people like Sarah does when they go too slow, maybe you can...
I live in Boston. That's considered normal. You were talking about normalizing stuff. It's totally normal.
Right. Yeah, it is. So use those times to let your mind wander, do those other things. Sometimes I would even jot down notes when I was actually working my full-time job. Not that I should say you should do that, but like making your time intentional is huge in making progress. So, and now when we look for you, because we can like do all these things, but we can't not address ourselves too. So what helps you get back to being you the most, right? I had this guy tell me one time, very different personality than me, when I was like, I need some alone time. I'm going to go. Sometimes I would just like go to the lake and just walk around or do whatever. And he was like, well, I just didn't want to create a life that I wanted to escape from. And you read that in all these social media memes like all the time. And I thought about it because it made me so mad, and I didn't understand why I was mad. But I realized it's not an escape, it's a return. When I have to get out and go somewhere and just get out of my head or get out of my office, I'm not escaping from anything. I'm returning to myself. Yeah. So that's what's important. What helps you to get back to you, to return to you the most? Is it taking a drive? That's what I love to do. I take a drive almost every day. Going to a bookstore for a little bit, or taking a walk outside in nature. Schedule it. Be intentional with that time too. So overall, get help with the stuff that you don't want to do or that you can't get to. Find affordable ways, because that stuff is out there. You can use different websites like People Per Hour or Upwork.com. I even did Upwork.com for a while. or better yet, talk to people that you know and hire in your community. Like, it's so much better to talk to someone in person, or maybe even like over a coffee, about what you want to do and how it's going to work. So again, you're making better connections, and we want that connection, right? So get your kids out of the freaking house and like let them have a good time without you being there, and make your time intentional. Know exactly what you're going to do when you sit down to work, and that will make a huge difference with not only balancing your time, but also making sure that you are being taken care of too.
Yes, so many good things. You have shared with us so many good things. I don't even know where to start to recap all of it.
Great.
It's going to take me a while. So tell us a little bit about the services that you offer, the coaching that you offer.
Yes, so I do coaching and consulting. I like to call myself an intuitive business coach. I really like to dive deep, go figure, into you and what it is that your purpose is, what it is that makes you feel alive, that you're in alignment with. And as a proud INFJ, that is something that I will always stick to, is really making sure that you find your purpose. So I offer coaching for those that are trying to find that, just get in alignment with what it is that they love. And you can either be starting your entrepreneur journey or been in it for a while and you're just needing to kind of up level, any of that. But I can definitely help you look for that. I offer in-person customer engagement training for businesses as well. I like to do that too. So you can find me on my website at CayciEllis.com, or on Facebook. I'm in Sarah's group too. So you can find me any of those places and we can chat, and I would love to help you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
I loved it. I've been looking forward to this for so long, and the community is wonderful. I'm so happy that you have decided to share that with us, and it's just really great. It's a wonderful resource.
All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. I really appreciate it. As a reminder, you can watch all the video interviews at youtube.com/The Quiet Ones Podcast. And we will see you next week.